Hunter School. Just another day. Ahn Junho is locked in, trying to clutch a victory on his phone. But someone isn't a fan of his gaming habits. His phone takes a flight. His childhood friend, Yunio, is livid that he's slacking right before the biggest exam of his life. Junho just jokes that since she's a genius, he'll just mooch off her forever. That earns him a firm grab by the collar. She drags him away while the other students whisper. Being the school's top star, Yunio dragging around a loser is definitely a scene. He tries to beg for mercy, but she's not listening. She shoves him toward the testing center. The 2025 National Hunter Awakening exam is finally underway. Junho waits in line, looking bored out of his mind. The measurement zone is dominated by a massive blue crystal. Finally, it's his turn. Ki Yojin, the examiner, tells him to take his time. He steps up to the pedestal. He places his hand on the crystal. Everything goes quiet for a second. The crystal begins to hum with power. The energy surge is intense. The results are in. A pathetic one. Star rank with a mud snare skill. The examiner asks what he got, likely disappointed by the low mana reading. Junho can't even look her in the eye. He gets handed a basic staff and shown the door. But just as he's leaving, a secret system activates the power of darkness. It grants him a passive skill that allows him to cast dark magic without any cost. His basic mud snare skill starts to transform into something much darker. A strange light flickers in his eyes. The students move toward the gate for their first field test. A notification warns them to keep their skills to themselves. They start entering the portal one by one. Junho steps through, ready to see what his corrupted skill can actually do. They land in a dense forest dungeon. The other hunters start clearing out goblins as soon as they touch down. The monsters are weak, but they're aggressive. Junho sticks to the shadows, observing the battle from a distance. He realizes he doesn't have the normal hero skills the others are flexing. Monitoring drones circle the area to record the students' performance. Back in the control room, Ki Yojin looks uneasy. One of the technicians notices a spike on the scanners. A massive anomaly is moving through the dungeon, and it's heading straight for the students. The observation drone is trashed on the forest floor. One student is so terrified he literally pissed himself. Looming over him is a vanguard goblin boss, sporting some nasty-looking claws. The beast laughs as its minions gather behind it. It lets out a roar and lunges forward. Up on a high ledge, Ahn Junho watches the whole scene unfold. The goblin delivers a powerful punch. A green blast goes off, sending debris everywhere. Junho clutches his head, wondering why the hell the monitoring drone just fell out of the sky. He looks at his hands, feeling a new power bubbling up inside. He drops down from his hiding spot right into the middle of the mess. The goblin boss turns around, its eyes glowing with malice. It doesn't matter who he is. The monsters charge him immediately. Junho doesn't flinch. He just gives a small, confident smirk. He raises a finger, and purple dark magic begins to swirl around his hand. He unleashes his newly corrupted spell, Rotten Shell, creating a massive shockwave. The dark energy forms into skeletal shapes that tear through the goblin horde. Back at the command center, Ki Yojin can't believe her eyes. This is Monarch-class power. The goblin boss realizes too late that it's no longer the predator. Junho's magic tosses the creatures around like they're made of paper. The boss gets slammed into the ground by the weight of the dark mana. Junho stares at the swirling purple energy, a bit surprised by its sheer intensity. He thinks to himself that this rotten shell is way too dangerous to use around people. Still, he can't argue with the results as system notifications pop up with massive experience points. A nearby hunter is completely paralyzed, unable to move under the pressure of the dark aura. The dark energy finishes its work, leaving nothing but dust behind. Junho looks pretty satisfied with his first real test run. He spots something glowing in the rubble orange epic grade loot. He's stoked to see these high-level drops. He picks up a rare badge, realizing he just hit the jackpot. After the fight, he takes a moment to breathe in the fresh air. He steps into the exit portal, leaving the decimated battlefield behind. He reappears back at the testing grounds, which are now covered in massive craters. He lands on a magic circle as the evaluation officially ends. Other students teleport in around him, looking exhausted and confused. Junho just stands there, acting like he didn't just solo a boss. Jo Sunghoon, an elite warrior, looks absolutely livid about something. He stares at Junho, sensing that something big just went down. Ki Yojin pulls Junho aside and tells him to act like he knows nothing to prevent a total panic. Junho plays it cool, scratching his head and acting like the same old loser. He meets up with Yunio, and the two of them start walking home. Yunio gives him a suspicious look, probably sensing he's hiding something big. Ahn Junho tries to play it cool and waves goodbye to Yunio. In his head, he's picturing Yunio's horrified face if he actually showed her his dark magic. Yunio isn't buying his act for a second and points an accusing finger at him. She doesn't let up, and Junho starts to sweat under her intense gaze. He lets out a panicked scream as she keeps grilling him about what happened in the dungeon. Later, Junho arrives at the central trading center, hoping to turn his loot into cash. He walks through the doors, trying to look like a serious hunter. A beautiful receptionist, Yang Seola, greets him with a professional smile. She asks how she can help, and Junho prepares to unload his haul. Junho asks a question, catching her a bit off guard. He pulls out the epic-grade goblin claws, and they practically glow in his hand. SOLOS' professional mask slips as she realizes just how rare those claws are. Junho enjoys the attention, waving a hand casually as if it's no big deal. He shows her his status ring, confirming he's the one who found the items. She brings him to see the head traitor, a grizzled man who tells them to come in. Junho presents the claws to the traitor, who can't believe his eyes. The traitor examines the loot with trembling hands, sweating from the sheer value of it. Junho just laughs, scratching the back of his head like it was just a lucky find. They settle on a price of 46,000 crystals, a massive sum for a student hunter. SOLOS watches the exchange, her eyes wide with newfound respect for the young hunter. She tells her colleague that she prefers mature men, but Junho is surprisingly capable. The other staff members are just as shocked by the massive payout. One of the ladies is practically frozen in disbelief at the amount of money changing hands. Junho walks away from the counter, feeling like $1 million with his pockets full. SOLOS watches him go, her expression a mix of curiosity and admiration. The sun rises on a brand new day. Junho is out in the field again, now wearing a much cleaner and more professional hunter's outfit. He practices his magic in the woods, the blue energy crackling around his gauntlet. He's getting more comfortable with his powers, his eyes full of focus. He runs into Yunio again, and she's surprised to see him looking so prepared. A group of elite hunters walks up a high-level warrior and an arrogant-looking maid. They're accompanied by a beautiful priest, who looks like she's from a top-tier guild. The mage, Doyoung, greets Junho with a smug hey. Doyoung and his warrior buddy loom over Junho, trying to intimidate the younger student. Junho isn't impressed and just gives them a flat, annoyed look. Doyoung ignores the attitude and turns his charm on Yunio instead. Junho is surprised when the mage suddenly pulls out a rare item. Doyoung offers a glowing green potion, trying to show off his wealth and status. The warrior and priest watch, curious to see if the girl will take the bait. Yunio doesn't even hesitate to decline, telling him to keep his gift. She tells them they've got better things to do and turns to leave. Doyoung is left fuming, pointing an angry finger as Yunio and Junho walk away. Yunio's gaze remains sharp, her patience for the upperclassmen's games completely exhausted. Doyoung watches them go, a twisted, sinister smile spreading across his face as his true colors start to show. Ahn Junho, however, couldn't care less, letting out a long, tired sigh as he wonders why his school life is getting so complicated. Sunghoon is fuming, but Yojin behind him looks like she's just here for the entertainment. Junho isn't impressed at all. He brushes off Sunghoon's bragging about a basic stat potion like it's trash. Sunghoon tries to stay smug, backed up by his teammate in heavy armor. But then Junho pulls something out that makes everyone's eyes bug out. It's a Vanguard badge, a legit epic grade item. Yunio is totally stunned. She's never seen an item like this in person before. Sunghoon and his group look like they've just seen their bank accounts hit zero. Junho just stands there with a smirk, fully enjoying how hard he just flexed on them. Yunio carefully takes the badge, staring at the glowing artifact in her hand. Even the other hunters can't help but shout in surprise at the sheer value of it. The badge's power flares up, wrapping Yunio in a bright golden aura. Everyone is still in shock as the reality of what just happened sinks in. Yunio looks back at Junho, her usual calm demeanor completely gone. Sunghoon and his buddy are losing it, unable to believe a loser could find something this legendary. Junho just casually scratches his ear, acting like it's no big deal. Sunghoon is fully panicking now while his teammates just look annoyed by his outburst. He's so angry he's literally grinding his teeth together. Meanwhile, Junho is just standing tall, looking like he's having the time of his life. Sunghoon drops to his knees, completely broken by the encounter. Junho gives them a lazy wave and says he's leaving, not wanting to waste any more time. He walks off with Yunio, leaving the group in the dust. Junho's feeling great, flashing a big, satisfied grin. Yunio catches up and starts questioning him, still trying to understand where that badge came from. She pulls a book out of her bag and hands it over to him. It's a skill book. She tells him to keep it safe and learn it as soon as he hits a higher level. Junho starts flipping through the pages to check out the new magic. He snaps the book shut with a smile, ready to get to work. The scene shifts to the gloomy graveyard dungeon. It's foggy, dark, and filled with crows. A rotted hand claws its way out of the dirt right in front of a tombstone. Within seconds, a pair of zombies crawl out, looking for their next meal. They don't last long, though. One gets blasted apart by a clean strike of energy. Another one gets taken down before it can even swing its axe. Yunio is busy picking off the undead with her bow, while Junho cheers her on from a safe distance. He's just sitting there, taking it easy while his genius friend does all the work. Suddenly, Yunio's phone starts vibrating in her pocket. She answers it, her face going serious as she listens to whoever's on the other side. It's Yeo Jin, and she looks like she's calling about something urgent. She's talking fast, clearly trying to get an important message across. Yunio listens carefully, the mood of the dungeon trip shifting instantly. She looks over at Junho, who's still just hanging out on the ground. He gives her a wink and an okay sign, telling her he can handle things while she's gone. Yunio launches herself into the air with a powerful jump as Junho waves goodbye. With Yunio gone, Junho is finally free to let loose. He's got that look in his eyes again. He thinks back to the skills he just learned, glad he put in the extra work yesterday. He gives his arms a good stretch, ready to test his new power on whatever the dungeon throws at him. The gloomy graveyard is crawling with low-level ghouls, but that's not what he's after. Deep in the mist, a corrupted Lich appears the true master of this place. Meanwhile, Sung-hoon and the rest of the class are struggling against the same overwhelming pressure from a distance. A massive wave of fire erupts, lighting up the dark horizon. The other students can only watch in horror as the energy levels in the dungeon go off the charts. Sung-hoon's teammates look like they're about to have a mental breakdown. The field test has turned into a total disaster for everyone else. Sung-hoon tries to rally his group, casting whatever magic he can to keep them safe. A giant pillar of golden light shoots into the sky, signaling the boss's presence. Sung-hoon realizes they're in way over their heads and orders a full retreat before anyone gets killed. Back at the center of the dungeon, the Lich's tower looms over the frozen landscape. Dark, chaotic energy begins to spiral around the top of the tower like a black hole. Junho doesn't run. He walks straight toward the source of the power with a calm expression. He pulls out one of his new skill books, the system preparing to upgrade it with his dark power. The Lich looms over him, a terrifying mountain of bone and dark magic. Junho just gives the monster a casual little wave, completely unfazed by its size. The monster lets out a roar, and the entire area is engulfed in a blinding flash of green energy. The Lich screams as it feels a power much darker than its own beginning to surface. It stares down at the tiny human, realizing too late that it's no longer the predator here. Junho's eyes glow with a cold violet light as he prepares his counterattack. He flashes a wicked grin, his dark magic finally reaching its peak. He raises his hand, and the very air starts to crackle with forbidden energy. The system screen pops up, showing his basic fireball skill mutating into something called Fire Rain. Dark shadows wrap around him like a cloak as he prepares to unleash hell. Massive chunks of purple fire rain down from the sky, smashing into the Lich's tower. The entire structure is reduced to rubble in seconds under the weight of the dark magic. Junho stands in the middle of the devastation, looking like a god of destruction. A notification rings out. He's hit level 30 and is finally ready for his first class advancement. He walks through the smoldering remains, picking up some epic tier loot like the Dark Soulstone. He inspects a rare mask dropped by the boss, deciding the minor damage he took was a small price to pay. Then, the big prize drops, the Lich's badge. This is exactly what he was looking for. He can't help but laugh, feeling the rush of power that comes with such a massive victory. Far away, Yunseo and her group are still recovering from the shockwave of the battle. They see the massive energy signature fade away, wondering what could have possibly taken down a boss like that. Sung-hoon is still yelling at his team to keep moving, terrified that whatever killed the Lich might come for them next. Yunseo checks a message on her phone from Junho, telling her he had to leave early because something came up. Junho doesn't waste any time. He heads straight for the advancement hall in the city. The building is massive and silent, reserved only for those who have reached the peak of their current level. He steps inside, ready to finally shed his one-star loser label and become something much more dangerous. Junho arrives at the advancement hall to finally pick his class. Ki Yo-jin, a clerk with long purple hair and glasses, greets him politely. She starts tapping away at her keyboard to look up his student records. She gives him a skeptical look over her glasses. He's 18 and only now taking his first advancement, definitely not a natural prodigy. First advancement for mages is this way, she says, leading him down a quiet corridor. Follow me. They enter a chamber with a glowing blue ritual circle. She tells him to just follow the system prompts and that she'll wait outside. As she steps out, a man in silver armor approaches her with a grim report from an on-site investigation. Ki Yo-jin's expression hardens. She mentions that they have already summoned the Shadow to deal with the situation. A projection of a powerful, ethereal knight appears, radiating an aura of dread and mystery. Inside the ritual circle, Junho looks at his status window. It still lists him with the placeholder name Jobless Chris, much to his annoyance. He pushes past the notification and walks toward the bright portal of light where his new life begins. After finishing the ritual, he finds Ki Yo-jin again and gives her a friendly wave, feeling like a new man. He's serious now, knowing that this advancement is just the first step in his plan for revenge and power. Far away in the mountains, a derelict icy tower stands as a testament to some forgotten dark magic. A lone figure is seen standing at the base of a pillar of light, their silhouette small against the massive energy. Back at the hall, the armored investigator gestures for Junho to keep their conversation private. They discuss the elite hunters who operate in the shadows, handling the most dangerous and secret missions. Ki Yo-jin looks like she's having a massive headache, the stress of the secret investigation clearly taking its toll. She adjusts her glasses and stands tall in her own set of purple and silver armor, ready to take command. She meets with her superiors to discuss the anomaly, her face set in a line of cold determination. The investigator looks just as tense, his eyes fixed on the map of the dungeon they're discussing. So even the one they call Tempest of Shadows is getting a headache from this? She asks, her voice full of concern. The weight of the situation is starting to sink in for everyone involved. Her colleague, a man in a sharp suit, clenches his teeth as he looks at the casualty reports. Ki Yojin's eyes glow with a sharp, violet light as she calculates their next move. Later that night, Junho is back at home. He peeks through his curtains, making sure he wasn't followed. He sits on the floor of his small room, lost in thought about everything he's learned today. He reaches out to interact with a blue system screen that's floating in front of him. He looks out the window at the city lights, wondering if he's really ready for what's coming next. The next morning, he arrives at the Central Exchange, a massive skyscraper where the city's most valuable items are traded. He walks toward the building with confidence, dressed in a simple jacket and jeans. A woman in a business suit sees him walk in. "Oh, it's the customer from last time," she thinks to herself. Junho walks right up to her and asks, "Hello, is Miss Seola here?" The clerk looks shocked, her mouth hanging open at the bluntness of his request. Is he saying I'm not as good as Yang Seola? She fuming internally, her face turning red with frustration. She tries to regain her professional composure, explaining that this section is actually under her management. Before she can finish, Yang Seola, the woman Junho was actually looking for, comes running out from the back office. Seola is out of breath and bowing repeatedly, apologizing for not being there the moment he arrived. Junho greets her warmly while the other clerk stands there with an angry vein popping on her forehead. They go into a private meeting room where a stern, bearded manager is waiting for them. 2 skill books sit on the table between them. The manager stares at Junho with an incredibly intense and suspicious gaze, trying to figure out who this kid really is. After their business is done, Junho and Seola relax at a nearby cafe, sharing a meal and some lighthearted conversation. Junho raises a hand to get the waiter's attention. "Here, I'll take the bill," he says with a smile. Junho and Yang Seola wrap up their meeting, both feeling satisfied with the successful trade they've just concluded. She playfully brushes off his curiosity with a wink and a light push toward the door. "Haha, that's a secret. Now hurry up and go." They part ways under the city lights, with Seola wishing him a safe journey back home. Seola catches a taxi and settles into the back seat, directing the driver to head straight for the city hospital. A quiet memory flashes through her mind, her at the hospital bedside, caring for her father as he struggles with his illness. The weight of her father's medical bills and the stress of her job bring a stray tear to her eye as she gazes out the window. Without warning, a thunderous explosion rocks the street, shattering the taxi's windows into thousands of deadly shards. The driver is knocked out instantly, and the car is filled with smoke and the smell of ozone. Seola covers her mouth in horror, her eyes wide with shock as she tries to make sense of the sudden chaos. In the middle of the road, a swirling rift of dark energy tears through reality, marking the beginning of a dungeon break. From the smoke and debris, a pale, monstrous form begins to crawl out, its movements twitchy and unnatural. Panicked civilians scatter in all directions, their screams echoing through the concrete canyons of the city. The monster leaps onto the hood of the wrecked taxi, its bioluminescent eyes locking onto the terrified woman inside. Seola's hands tremble as she frantically reaches for the door handle, her heart hammering against her ribs. With a desperate surge of adrenaline, she kicks the door open and rolls out onto the cold asphalt. She hits the ground hard, gasping for breath as the creature's shadow looms large over her. Looking up in pure terror, she lets out a piercing scream as the monster prepares to launch its final attack. High above the chaos, another dark portal spirals open, and a mysterious figure begins to descend toward the battlefield. The monster bares its jagged teeth in a wide, predatory grin, but a new player has just entered the game. Things start off with a massive explosion that ripples through the scene. A beast with a massive, toothy maw lets out a roar that could probably be heard for miles. Ha Yunseo tries to hold her ground, but she's clearly terrified as she holds out her hand to cast magic. A glowing slash cuts through the monster, nearly splitting it in half. Yunseo ducks and covers her head as debris from the impact starts flying everywhere. Jo Sung-hoon jumps into the fray, but he gets hit by a blast of dark energy, while the monster's head gets sent flying. Yunseo hits the floor, too shaken to even move. Sung-hoon drops to one knee, leaning on his glowing sword as he tries to pull himself together. He gets back on his feet, but the ground is already cracking and glowing with an eerie red light. He looks over the remains of the monster, thinking he might have a chance, but he sees something else coming, and the look on his face says it's way beyond anything he's faced before. A massive, clawed shadow swings out from the darkness toward him. Sung-hoon counters with a wide swing of his blade, sending out a wave of blue energy. He lets out a desperate roar, pouring everything into his defense. He realizes his opponent isn't a monster, but a human traitor, a mutant. Out steps Ju Kangyuk, looking like a total nightmare with his giant, mutated arm pulsing with dark power. Sung-hoon doesn't back down and charges right at him. Kangyuk just swings that boulder of an arm like it's nothing, putting massive force behind it. The impact is huge, sending Sung-hoon spinning through the air like a ragdoll. He grits his teeth, trying to stay conscious as he crashes. Kangyuk just points a single finger at him, dark energy sparks flying off it. The traitor closes the distance in a flash, his power completely overwhelming. He's got a twisted grin on his face, clearly enjoying the one-sided beatdown. Another heavy hit slams into Sung-hoon's guard and sends him reeling. Kangyuk is laughing now, totally drunk on his own strength. He drives a fist straight into Sung-hoon's chest, and you can practically hear the air getting knocked out of him. He looms over the fallen hunter, his eyes glowing with pure malice. But then he suddenly stops. Something's not right. He looks down at his chest like he's feeling an icy chill. The very space around him starts to splinter and shatter like glass. He turns around and sees a blinding light emerging from the shadows. A terrifying demonic mask begins to form within the smoke. A massive demonic figure looms over him, radiating pure dread. Kang Hyuk drops to his knees, his arrogance completely gone as he faces something truly godlike. A pair of glowing red eyes and a jagged mouth appear in the darkness, staring right through him. The big bad traitor is reduced to a sniveling wreck, bowing down and promising to follow any command. Over at the restroom, a hand reaches out and pulls back the curtain. Ahn Junho casually walks out, looking like he just finished a casual stroll instead of witnessing a massacre. His eyes are glowing with a deep, cold purple light. He stands in the middle of the debris and bodies, completely unbothered by the carnage. Nearby, a monster is still active, looming over its next victim. A man lies in a pool of blood, barely clinging to life. The beast turns its glowing red eyes toward Junho, sensing a new target. The monster lunges at Junho from the ceiling, its mouth wide and ready to bite, but it hits the ground instead, leaving a massive crater in the floor. A sudden, heavy force slams down right on top of it. Junho just stands there, watching a pillar of black energy erupt from the debris. A system window pops up. Looks like he just unlocked a new skill called Thorn Wall. Purple energy swirls around his hand as he gets ready to actually fight back. He turns his back on the carnage and starts walking toward a bright doorway. He steps out into the ruins of the building, where weird fleshy vines have taken over everything. He finds the traitor, Ju Kang Hyuk, coughing up blood and looking like he's on his last legs. But the guy isn't done. His body surges with blue power as he lunges with that mutated claw. He swings a massive wave of dark energy, trying to wipe Junho out in one go. Junho just watches it happen, completely unimpressed by the display of power. He easily sidesteps the giant blue claw as it zips past him. Kang Hyuk is wearing a crazed, sharp-toothed grin, clearly high on his own mutation. But he's getting frustrated now, his eyes glowing blue as he snarls at the kid. Junho crosses his arms, and a massive vortex of dark, liquid energy begins to form around him. The whole area is swallowed by a burst of purple light as he lets his true power loose. He closes his eyes for a moment, letting the dark mana flow through him. When he opens them, they're glowing with a deep, intimidating purple. He floats up into the air, surrounded by jagged shards of rubble caught in his aura. A giant, shadowy pillar rises from the ground, reaching up toward him. Seeing this, Kang Hyuk starts sweating and stammers out, "My lord," terrified that he's looking at his own master or something worse. The air itself starts to tear and crack under the sheer pressure of Junho's presence. Creepy little white minions with glowing red eyes start appearing all over the place. Junho stands over the battered traitor, who's still trying to cling to that weak blue energy. He gives a little smirk, his eyes glowing with a cold, superior purple light. In the background, someone in silver armor is watching the whole thing unfold. A figure in sleek dark armor stands tall, radiating a massive aura of purple magic. A piece of a broken blade clatters to the floor, marking the end of the fight. Kang Hyuk is a total mess now, staring up in absolute terror at the monster he just provoked. Junho switches back to his casual act, wiping his forehead and complaining about how tough that was. He lets out a long puff of air, doing his best to look exhausted before anyone else arrives. The camera pans out to show the total destruction of the city blocks they were just fighting in. A hunter in a mask reports in that the monsters are retreating and the dungeon break is finally over. A high-ranking lady in silver and purple armor steps onto the scene to survey the damage. She adjusts her glasses, trying to make sense of the massive power spike they just detected. Ki-Ye Ojin and the masked hunter discuss the situation, both looking pretty confused. She's got an intense, analytical look on her face, knowing something big happened here. Elsewhere in the crater, a silver-haired warrior stands over someone who's still on their knees. This is Yoon Do-young, and he's scanning the battlefield for anything out of place. He shouts for whoever's left to stay put, wanting to know exactly who they are and what they saw. He holds up a glowing blue crystal, looking for any trace of the person who actually ended the crisis. Yang Seola, a professional hunter with brown hair and a ponytail and silver armor, stands among the ruins. She adjusts her glasses, her analytical gaze taking in the sheer scale of the destruction. A mysterious muscular figure looms in the background, the traitor who once belonged to the secret organization, Illusion. Yang Seola and a masked teammate try to wrap their heads around the massive power spike that just occurred. She shakes her head, looking at the crushed landscape and wondering who could have done this. Yoon Do-young, the silver-haired elite warrior, watches the cleanup with a grim expression. Both high-level hunters are clearly rattled by what they found at the site. They stand in the center of the devastation, surrounded by massive shards of rock and debris. The scene shifts to a quiet apartment building under the night sky Ahn Junho's home. Inside, Junho is in high spirits, pumping his fists as he celebrates a major win. A screen pops up showing his loot, the epic rarity Armor of Glory top, meant for level 120 players. He also managed to snag the matching bottom piece, completing the powerful set. He thinks back to his weak persona, contrasting it with the raw, dark power he knows he possesses. He holds up a small skull charm, a trophy from the battle that most people wouldn't even recognize. He gives the charm a casual flick, looking bored as if high-level artifacts are just everyday toys to him. His mind wanders to a giant, glowing eye that seems to be peering into his very soul. In a dark, cavernous throne room, a monstrous figure with a skeletal mask sits waiting the source of darkness. Junho stands before the throne, a lone human face-to-face with an ancient, terrifying entity. A small, white minion with glowing red eyes screams with a mixture of fear and excitement. The source of darkness remains seated, holding the giant eye and radiating an aura of absolute power. The little ghost-like minion continues to freak out, its face contorted in a comical shout. Over at the city hospital, things are a lot less mystical, but just as grim. Jo Sung-hoon is laid up in a hospital bed, looking like a mummy with all those bandages. He's fuming, haunted by the memory of the powerful warrior who left him in this state. Young Seola, now wearing a lab coat, visits the patient, along with a serious-looking man in a suit. Sung-hoon glares up at them, his one visible eye filled with pure, unadulterated rage. The man in the suit talks to the injured hunter, likely discussing the fallout of the dungeon break. Night falls over another skyscraper, where more secrets are being discussed behind closed doors. A sleazy-looking man with a gold tooth and a goatee makes a shady deal with an associate. Ki Yo-jin, a sophisticated woman with long purple hair, watches the transaction with a cunning smirk. The sleazy man lets out a boisterous laugh, feeling like he's got everything under control. Behind him, a vision of an old master with glowing eyes serves as a reminder of the real power in this world. He tries to talk up Yoon Do-young, but the silver-haired warrior isn't buying whatever he's selling. The office door remains shut as the high-stakes conversation continues inside. The sleazy manager looks like he's having a midlife crisis, leaning his head on his hand while talking to Ki Yo-jin. Ki Yo-jin and Yoon Do-young discuss the situation, and it seems like their customer is in for a nasty surprise. The manager is sweating bullets now, his face pale as he realizes the magnitude of the mess they're in. In a little chibi-style scene, Ki Yo-jin points out that there are very few 4th advancement fighters in the region. Yoon Do-young stands alone on a rocky, desolate battlefield, the winds of change blowing around him. Meanwhile, Junho is walking through a similar wasteland, his eyes fixed on some distant goal. Nearby, several hunters are engaged in a frantic battle against a swarm of weird, pumpkin-headed monsters. Suddenly, Junho lets out a massive blast of blue energy, his power lighting up the entire area. Yoon Do-young watches the scene unfold, cold sweat dripping down his face as he realizes the sheer scale of the power at play. A green light pulses intensely, focusing like a magical lens on a distant target. Ahn Junho turns his back on the chaos, walking further into the desolate, jagged landscape. High above the rocky cliffs, a warrior in heavy armor is sent flying by an unseen force. Junho enters a long, silent corridor, his footsteps echoing through the empty hall. He stops and looks ahead, his expression turning serious as he senses a formidable presence waiting for him. Yoon Do-young shouts in disbelief, his eyes wide as the energy levels in the area spike to impossible heights. Junho continues his walk, ignoring the small, shadowy minions that scurry around his feet. He steps into a grand chamber filled with massive stone statues, thinking to himself how perfect and secluded this fancy place is. The hall is vast and ancient, its walls covered in intricate murals that tell of forgotten battles. He stands alone in the center of the hall, dwarfed by the magnificent architecture surrounding him. Suddenly, a giant figure clad in white and gold armor with massive wings descends, radiating a blindingly bright aura. The winged guardian raises its arms, charging a devastating blast of holy light directed right at Junho. Junho looks up, his face bathed in the golden glow of the impending attack. Yoon Do-young can only watch in horror as the legendary boss monster prepares to strike. "Oh?" Junho mutters with a cocky smirk, completely unfazed by the divine warrior's power. The winged boss seems to hesitate, feeling a sudden, chilling shift in the atmosphere. Junho is just a small silhouette against the massive, glowing entity, but the balance of power is about to flip. He reaches out with a steady hand, his fingers spreading as he calls upon his true strength. Tendrils of dark purple energy erupt from his palm, snaking upward with violent intensity. A massive, slit pupil eye opens in the sky above, surrounded by crackling bolts of dark lightning. A titanic pillar of dark energy roars down from the eye, swallowing the winged guardian in an instant. Junho stands triumphantly with his arm raised, his silhouette etched against the blinding explosion of his overwhelming dark magic. A massive explosion rocks the area, leaving nothing but a crater and a thick cloud of dust. Yoon Do-young stands frozen, his eyes wide as he tries to process the sheer scale of the destruction. Ahn Junho, the 18-year-old protagonist, calmly walks away from the debris, looking as if he didn't just cause a catastrophe. He looks down at his hand, where a faint purple glow is still flickering from his dark magic. He pulls out a strange scroll while Do-young runs up behind him, clearly desperate for answers. Junho just looks cold and focused. Despite the sweat beads forming on his forehead, Do-young is completely speechless, realizing that the loser everyone mocked is on an entirely different level. Suddenly, an alarm starts blaring in the distance, cutting through the silence of the aftermath. Junho holds the scroll high, and a vortex of blue energy starts to wrap around him as he tells Doyoung they should talk elsewhere. They end up in a quiet park where the wind is blowing, fallen leaves across the path. Junho sits down, looking exhausted as he gazes at his own hands, contemplating his new power. Doyoung stands behind him, trying to be friendly but clearly sweating from the tension. The warrior demonstrates his own 5-star martial arts power, his hands glowing with a bright blue light. Junho isn't impressed at all. He just rests his chin on his hand, looking completely bored. But when Junho looks up, his eyes flash with a menacing purple glow, and Doyoung immediately tenses up. The high-ranked martial artist realizes that the darkness inside Junho is far more dangerous than anything he's ever seen. A close-up reveals the intense purple light of the S-rank Dark Mage's system in Junho's eye. Doyoung looks down at the young mage, his expression full of a new kind of respect and fear. He closes his eyes and clenches his jaw, trying to keep his composure in front of such overwhelming power. The two of them start walking together through the park as the sky begins to gray. Junho answers his phone, his face returning to its usual detached expression. On the line is Ki Yojin, a purple-haired supporting character, telling him it's time to meet up. Junho looks at his phone with a hint of surprise, not expecting a call from her so soon. Back at headquarters, Yeojin defends Junho to others, calling him a kind and trustworthy kid. Meanwhile, an old official watches multiple screens showing the city's energy readings spiking. He looks incredibly grim, his face reflecting the screen's ominous blue glow. Somewhere in the city, the traitor Ju Kangyuk screams in pain as dark energy transforms him into a monster. A researcher with glasses and brown hair looks over a tablet, her face pale from what she's seeing. The arrogant Jo Sung-hoon gives a confident thumbs up, wearing his blue and silver warrior armor. The researcher just stares at him, her arms crossed and her face full of silent judgment. The old official rubs his chin, trying to figure out how to handle the sudden dungeon break. The researcher closes her eyes, dreading the chaos that's about to unfold. A mysterious masked figure in a red cloak stands ready, watching the city from a dark alleyway. Yojin looks out at the city barrier, worried because that's exactly where Junho said he'd be training. A massive blue magical shield covers the entire city, shimmering under the pressure of the invasion. In a crowded square, Junho and Doyoung stand among the terrified citizens, looking up as the sky begins to crack. A terrifying demon face rips through the clouds, its red eyes staring down at its prey. Huge, winged demons begin to fly through the rift, casting long shadows over the streets. One demon lands on a building, its massive form looming over the city like a herald of doom. A whole swarm of red-eyed gargoyles follows, filling the air with their screeches. A giant, horned monster stands at the front of the army, ready to lead the slaughter. A massive demonic claw reaches down, signaling the start of a nightmare for Onbile City. A massive, purple-skinned demon emerges from the rift, brandishing a giant axe made of bone. It snarls at the cowering humans, its fangs bared and ready for the slaughter. A whole swarm of these monsters pours through the crack in the sky, surrounding the city in a dome of dark energy. An armored city guard watches in horror, realize that their frontline defenses have already been pulverized. The smaller demons crawl across the wooden structures, their claws digging deep as they hunt for prey. "Help!" people scream, as the crowd collapses into a desperate, panicked stampede. The streets are a mess of shouting and terror. Someone yells for the crowd to watch out for the flying blades as they run. Ahn Junho stands his ground in the middle of the chaos, looking back as blue mana starts to ripple through the air. Yoon Do-young, the 5-star martial artist, steps forward, his green armor shining as he prepares to lead the defense. He glances sideways at the civilians with a deadly serious expression, taking complete control of the situation. Junho looks on in surprise. It's his first time seeing an elite hunter prepare for a real battle. Do-young asks if he's all right, but he doesn't wait for an answer before locking his gaze back on the enemy. The warrior turns his back, his muscles bulging as he prepares to dive headfirst into the demonic horde. Junho can only offer a quick good luck as the pro hunter gets ready to do his job. An explosion rocks the street, sending civilians flying and filling the air with screams of terror. The boss demon lets out a terrifying roar, its red eyes fixed on its next victim. City archers from the guard unit start raining down, glowing blue arrows from the rooftops. The arrows strike the demon's chest, but it barely flinches, its thick hide absorbing most of the damage. A knight tries to hold the line with his sword, but he's quickly forced back by the monster's overwhelming strength. The defense line crumbles. A soldier falls to the ground, blood splattering the wooden walkway. A massive flaming blade cuts through the air, knocking one of the smaller demons back into the shadows. A young mage is left shaking in fear, his face pale as he realizes the humans are losing the fight. The purple demon stands tall, looking completely unbothered by the humans' puny efforts at resistance. Its silhouette towers over the burning city, a nightmare made flesh against the red sky. "Run!" people scream, as the panicked crowd becomes a chaotic tidal wave of desperation. The monster raises its massive bone axe, ready to deliver a crushing blow to the warrior standing in its way. It lets out a bone-chilling roar that echoes through the streets and shakes the surrounding building. A clash of blinding light and dark mana erupts as Do-young finally makes his move. He leaps into the air, his twin daggers glowing with golden energy as he strikes at the demon's head. Do-young's eyes glow with an intense yellow light. He's not holding anything back in this fight. The demon snarls, its fangs bared as it tries to bite the agile martial artist mid-air. Do-young executes a powerful horizontal slash, sending a massive wave of blue mana through the air. The force of the hit sends the demon flying backward, crashing through the wooden supports. Blue blood sprays everywhere as the monster takes a direct hit to its chest. But it's not done yet. The beast's eyes glow even brighter as it enters a state of primal rage. Do-young doesn't give it a second to breathe. Diving back down from the shadows like a ninja, he traps the demon in a complex web of blue energy lines, pinning it down for a moment. The martial artist lands gracefully, spinning his glowing daggers with a confident flair. His amber eyes are cold and focused, waiting for the perfect moment to finish this beast off. From the sidelines, Junho watches the whole spectacle and simply mutters, "Not bad." High above on the towers, the archers continue their assault to keep the flying demons away. Junho looks over at the pro warrior, clearly realizing that the world of elites is a bit more interesting than he thought. "No, that was perfect," Junho says with a wide grin, giving a hearty thumbs up to his teammate. He is full of energy, praising Yoon Do-young's combat skills and telling him how amazing the fight looked from his perspective. The loot from the encounter is impressive, including a pair of gauntlets that pulse with a steady, concentrated mana. Among the treasures is a rare skill book titled Death Chasing, its surface shimmering with an otherworldly green light. Next to it lies the Demon Bone Shield, a formidable piece of equipment crafted from the skull of a fallen demon. A silver-armored guard and a priest from the local garrison arrive to provide support and assess the damage to the city. A city official in a suit, likely the manager of the local station, bows deeply to the two hunters as a sign of his immense gratitude. Despite his respectful posture, the manager is clearly terrified. He can sense a dark, overwhelming power lurking behind Junho's purple eyes. Junho dismisses the official's formalities with a wave of his hand, preferring to keep things casual and move on. With a nervous smile, the manager presents a beautifully crafted black and gold chest, its contents glowing with a divine aura. Junho's eyes widen as he takes the heavy chest, sensing the incredible potential of the rewards he's earned. He immediately starts dividing the spoils with Do-young, showing the true camaraderie between the two defenders. The surviving guards and citizens break into a chorus of cheers and applause, celebrating the heroes who saved their lives. Suddenly, two brilliant pillars of mana, one purple and one green, shoot up into the sky, signaling the completion of their secret task. Caught in a specialized flight technique, Junho and Do-young are propelled into the air, leaving the ruined docks behind. Elsewhere, a team of elite hunters gathers after their own battle, looking tired but satisfied with their performance. Leading the group is Ha Yun-seo, a renowned prodigy, with the arrogant Jo Sung-hoon trailing closely behind her. Yun-seo looks deep in thought, her golden eyes reflecting a mixture of determination and heavy responsibility. Her pristine white and gold armor marks her as one of the top hunters in the country, a true symbol of power and grace. She remains silent for a moment, her focus directed toward a future challenge that only she has been chosen to face. In contrast, Sung-hoon looks incredibly frustrated, his face contorted in a scowl as he deals with his own shortcomings. A pink-haired teammate walks up to Yun-seo, casually asking about the results of her second advancement quest. The rest of the team is in high spirits, laughing and giving each other thumbs up after a successful dungeon run. "What about you, Yun-seo?" the girl asks with a bright smile, eager to hear about her friend's latest achievement. Yun-seo stares ahead, her silence causing the cheerful atmosphere to slowly drain away. The veteran hunters exchange concerned glances, sensing that something monumental is about to be revealed. "You got an A-rank quest and you're fine," Yun-seo says, her gaze turning cold. "So why would I be upset when I got an S rank?" The news hits the team like a thunderclap. They all freeze in total shock, unable to believe what they just heard. The pink-haired hunter looks completely stunned, her mouth hanging open as she tries to process the weight of Yun-seo's words. "It's a quest to unlock a hidden job," Yun-seo adds, one that no hunter in the world has ever seen before. Jo Sung-hoon is absolutely losing it. He can't wrap his head around what he's seeing. Ha Yun-seo steps into the advancement magic circle, the air around her beginning to hum with power. She takes a deep breath, the transformation taking hold as she prepares for her life to change. Suddenly, the Vanguard's badge Junho gave her erupts in a blinding golden glow. She thinks back to when he handed it to her. He seemed so sure it would work. It's a success. She just unlocked the legendary 5-star Blade Shadow hidden job. Jo Sung-hoon is literally screaming in shock at the high-rank reveal. Yun-seo is over the drama though, and tells him to worry about his own life. He's left seething, clearly not happy about being outclassed so easily. Meanwhile, Junho is checking his own progress as things start heating up. His S-rank quest is finally nearing the 100% completion mark. He feels the power surging as the system confirms the final step of his quest. He can't help but grin. Everything is falling into place perfectly. Yoon Do-young stands by with his arms crossed, watching his master with quiet respect. From high up in the monitor room, Ki Yo-jin keeps a sharp eye on the duo. Her intel says Do-young is a prodigy, but it's the one, Star Mage, she's really watching. The observers are trying to figure out if Junho is a threat they should be worried about. Yo-jin truly doesn't believe he's going to become their enemy, but she's still cautious. Do-young and Junho walk through the city, drawing looks from everyone passing by. Junho notices the gaze from above and tries to act as natural as possible. Yo-jin catches up to him, calling out his name with a serious expression. She wants to pick up where their conversation left off earlier. Junho's heart skips a beat. He knows he's about to be put on the spot. He's sweating bullets, trying to think of a way to dodge the upcoming talk. She pulls him aside for a more private chat to get some real answers. He tries to laugh it off, acting like he's just another nervous rookie. But inside, he's panicking. If she finds out his true nature, things are going to get messy. She isn't buying the act and gets right to the point of her investigation. She pulls out a mana detection stone, insisting on a quick test of his power. He looks at the heavy rock, knowing his dark mana is anything but normal. He takes a deep breath, trying to suppress the darkness as much as he can. She watches him intently, waiting for the stone to glow with his mana signature. He slowly extends his hand, hoping for a normal result. The moment his finger touches it, blue electricity starts arcing wildly across the surface. The stone can't handle the pressure and completely shatters into a million pieces. Junho freezes, looking like his soul just left his body. Yojin is straight up screaming. Detection stones aren't supposed to explode like that. He quickly rubs his head and plays dumb, acting like a clueless amateur. She's hyperventilating, staring at the expensive debris covering her desk. That stone was meant to identify dark energy, not turn into smoking scrap metal. She looks at him with a mix of fear and confusion, trying to process what she just saw. They both just stand there, staring at the fragments of what used to be a very costly tool. Junho rubs the back of his head, trying to play off the exploded stone as a total accident with a nervous laugh. Ki Yojin isn't buying it for a second, giving him a look that says she knows he's hiding something massive. He drops the act and gets serious for a moment, letting a hint of his true power manifest in his hand. He hands over a glowing item, congratulating her on her advancement, as if he's the one evaluating her. A small, knowing smile spreads across his face as he sees her complete confusion. It's a bribe, plain and simple, an epic-grade belt called Sacred Wings, with some legendary stats. Yeojin is completely floored, staring at the high-tier gear like she's just seen a miracle. He doesn't wait for a thank you, just gives a casual peace sign and starts walking away. She watches him leave with Yoon Do-young, wondering what kind of monster she just let walk out the door. She knows that nobody hands out gear this valuable just for a simple first advancement. Later, she meets with her superiors at the association to discuss the incident at the testing site. The head investigator stares at the broken fragments of the detection stone, looking completely baffled. The thought of having to treat someone as powerful as Junho as an enemy is terrifying to them. Yojin explains the situation, knowing that the wrong decision could start a war. They decide to sweep the incident under the rug and not file an official report on him. Yojin is still sweating, the memory of his raw power keeping her on edge even now. The investigators realize that between Junho and Do-young, they're looking at a force they can't control. As night falls, the city looks peaceful, but the power balance has already shifted. Back at his place, Junho is relaxing on the couch while Do-young stands by like a loyal bodyguard. Do-young looks down, clearly conflicted about the secrets they're keeping from the rest of the world. Junho looks at him with those glowing purple eyes, fully aware of his ally's hesitation. He checks out his new VIP black card, the gold emblem catching the light as he holds it up. The luxury apartment building stands tall against the night sky, a fortress for the rising powerhouse. Do-young tells him he'll be staying at a hotel for the night to keep up appearances before heading out. Just hours earlier, the warrior was meeting with Mayor Jang Huiyol to finalize their arrangement. The mayor handed over a special hunter ID card that grants top-tier privileges throughout the city. Do-young accepted the ID with a serious face, knowing the weight of the authority it carries. He assured the mayor that the city's safety is guaranteed as long as they cooperate. They shook hands on it. Though Do-young's expression remained as cold and professional as ever, the mayor was thrilled, thinking he'd just signed a deal with the nation's next top hero. He promised to handle all the bureaucratic headaches personally so the hunters could stay under the radar. Back in the present, Junho is focusing on a much different kind of ranking, his mobile game. He holds the phone over his head, celebrating another hard-earned victory. He starts scrolling through his class group chat to see what the other students are complaining about. It's a mess of people panicking about their low levels and the newly sealed dungeons. He reads through the constant messages with a look of pure boredom, finding their drama pathetic. Even Yojin chimed in, telling one of the guys to worry about himself instead of other people. One of his classmates is laughing it up in the chat, clearly not taking the danger seriously. But the guy's face turns sour as the reality of the massive level gap starts to sink in. Junho looks at a shadowy monster on his screen, thinking back to a fight he didn't get to finish. A memory of a previous encounter flashes through his mind, proving he still has unfinished business. A massive demonic figure looms in his thoughts, the real target he's been preparing for. At the central exchange, The sun sets behind the massive skyscraper that serves as the hub for all hunter trade. Young Seola stands at the entrance, her face marked with bandages from the injuries she sustained earlier. Her colleague, a sharp-tongued woman in a suit, mocks her for showing up to work before she's even fully recovered. Seola looks taken aback by the sudden verbal assault, her eyes wide with shock and hurt. "Such a shame," the woman sneers, "that a staff member like you would fall for a petty thief's lies." She turns her back on Seola with a smug laugh, thinking she's put the lower-ranked hunter in her place. Suddenly, a dark, jagged blade of energy erupts from the ground right next to the woman's face, stopping her dead in her tracks. Junho emerges from the shadows behind them, his expression cold and menacing as he stares down the bully. The woman's face contorts with terror as she realizes the thief she was mocking is standing right behind her. Seola is shaking, her eyes tearing up from the stress, until Junho tells her to stay calm and not worry about him. The commotion draws out a group of security guards led by the exchange's supervisor, a man who looks ready to arrest someone. Junho meets the supervisor's gaze with glowing purple eyes, showing he's not the least bit intimidated by their authority. The supervisor walks forward, ready to kick out the troublemaker until he catches a glimpse of what Junho is holding. Junho casually holds up the VIP black card given to him by the mayor, a symbol of absolute social and economic authority. The security guards and the supervisor nearly fall over themselves in a desperate scramble to show their respect. The supervisor and the bully are speechless, their faces turning pale as they realize they've just offended a VVIP. The supervisor immediately turns his fury on the woman who started the trouble, screaming at her for her stupidity. He pulls out his phone with trembling hands, his voice cracking as he tries to report the situation to his own bosses. A crowd of curious onlookers begins to gather at the entrance, watching the high-stakes drama unfold with bated breath. The supervisor is practically begging into his phone now, his cool exterior completely shattered by the threat to his career. Above them, Do-young watches the scene with a sharp eye, while the supervisor looks like he's having a total meltdown. Inside a private lounge, Junho and Seola sit on a plush sofa while he reviews some hunter documents on a tablet. Out in the hallway, the supervisor and a frantic official are seen running at top speed to deliver an official apology. Junho looks up with a bored expression, clearly unimpressed by their sudden and desperate change in attitude. Do-young stands by with a stern look as the official tries to grovel, his silver hair catching the light. The woman who bullied Seola is now the one trembling in fear, realizing her career at the exchange is likely over. She lets out a gasp of despair as her supervisor orders his subordinates to take her and her accomplice away. The supervisor points a trembling finger at the former employees, making it clear they are no longer welcome in the building. They can only beg for mercy, realizing too late that the person they insulted was actually the city's most important guest. The supervisor's voice booms through the hall as he vents his frustration on the people who almost ruined him. Mayor Jang Huiyol arrives on the scene, looking stressed and rubbing his forehead as he surveys the aftermath of the mess. He presents an official VIP access shield, a gold-plated token that ensures Junho is never treated with such disrespect again. They all move to a more comfortable setting where Seola serves tea to the group, still looking flustered by the sudden turn of events. Junho lets out a genuine laugh, his mood lightened now that the annoying staff members have been dealt with. Seola watches him with a deep blush, her heart racing as she realizes how much power Junho truly holds. She looks down at the tea set, unable to hide the fact that she's completely captivated by him. Junho leans back on the sofa, looking perfectly relaxed as he takes charge of the conversation. He points a finger up while explaining his terms to the mayor, looking every bit like a king negotiating with a subject. The mayor listens with a look of intense concentration, showing his respect for the young hunter's authority. Do-young watches the interaction with a serious expression, perhaps sensing the shift in power between Junho and the city officials. Junho gives a wide, goofy grin, reminding them all that beneath the power, he's still just a teenager. Then, he manifests a glowing blue book in his hands, ready to dive into the next stage of his leveling journey. Junho holds the tome of Spirit Extraction, its dark cover pulsating with a forbidden emerald glow. He gazes intently at the book, sensing the immense power of the hidden job skill he's just acquired. A brilliant, prismatic light erupts from his forehead as the skill's knowledge is permanently etched into his soul. Once the light fades, Junho rests his chin on his hand, already contemplating how to optimize this new ability. The mental strain of the advancement is intense, and he can't help but let out a wide, exhausted yawn. Mayor Jang bows respectfully, thanking them for their help and inviting Junho to visit Anbyeol City again soon. A pillar of light descends from the sky into the heart of the city, marking the successful completion of their mission. Do-young claps a hand on Junho's shoulder, suggesting they grab a bite to eat before they head their separate ways. They arrive at a grand, European-style estate, bathed in the warm, golden glow of the setting sun. Inside the villa, the two hunters walk through a lavishly decorated hallway that speaks to Do-young's elite status. Do-young settles into a plush armchair, looking much more relaxed now that the immediate pressure is off. They sit together in the opulent lounge, the weight of their recent achievements finally starting to sink in. Junho takes a long, refreshing drink from his cup, savoring the simple pleasure of tea after a long day of fighting. Ah, he exhales with a satisfied grin, looking more like a carefree student than a powerful dark mage. Do-young leans forward, pointing toward a document as he brings up a concerning piece of news he's just received. Meanwhile, in a sterile office, a government official with glasses reports on the massive mana surge they detected. Do-young's own phone rings, and his expression turns grave as he listens to the warning from his contacts. Junio looks over, his casual demeanor instantly replaced by a look of surprise as he senses the shift in the air. An investigation team, huh? Do-young muses, setting his cup down. I wonder what kind of people they really are. In the shadows, a terrifying silhouette looms, a hunter clad in heavy armor, his eyes burning with a predatory red light. The figure's face is cold and ruthless, the mark of a man who hunts his own kind for the sake of a dark government mandate. Outside a high-stakes meeting, the atmosphere is heavy. The city's top officials are gathered inside to handle a major crisis. Ki Yo-jin isn't having any of it, shutting down their ideas with a firm no. One guy in the room looks like he's about to lose his mind. Ha Yun-seo stays quiet, clearly uneasy with how things are going. An aide rushes in with news that a key player won't be attending. Yoon Do-young makes it clear he's got better things to do than talk politics. The scene shifts to the outskirts of the city at night. Security at a dungeon site shouts for an intruder to identify themselves. An arrogant investigator in heavy armor steps out and waves them off. He points toward the portal and tells his men to move in. He walks straight into the glowing purple rift. Inside, he finds a wasteland and wonders what could have wrecked a dungeon this badly. A swirl of dark energy on the ground catches his eye. Instead of being scared, the guy starts laughing like a lunatic. He reaches out as the black smoke starts wrapping around his gauntlet. A terrifying face with red eyes emerges from the gloom. He's convinced this legendary power is finally going to be his. Meanwhile, things are much quieter at Yoon Do-young's private villa. Ahn Junho is scrolling through his phone, reminding himself to stay low-key. Suddenly, a system alert flashes end times remains have been detected nearby. He locks in, realizing exactly what that means. He grabs his jacket and gets ready to move. He bolts out the door so fast it leaves Do-young standing there confused. He catches a ride and heads straight for the signal. The coordinates lead him right to the gloomy graveyard. Back at the site, the power has turned into a giant, multi-eyed nightmare. The guards are paralyzed with fear as the creature looms over them. That corrupt investigator is finding out the hard way that he messed with the wrong entity. He's trapped in its grasp, begging for a life he's about to lose. Traffic is backed up at a military checkpoint outside the graveyard. Armed hunters have already cordoned off the entire road. Junho's driver tells him they can't go any further, so he just hops out and pays the fare. He stares into the distance, sensing the massive, dark aura. The monster lets out a roar as it finishes claiming its host. A hunter team arrives, but they're walking right into a disaster. Yeo-jin and Yunseo reach the center of the zone and find nothing but wreckage. A massive trail of destruction is all that's left where the monster was. Yunseo finds Yeo-jin on the ground and quickly rushes to her side. Yeo-jin groans. Her glass is cracked from the force of the blast. Yunseo looks at her, relieved she's still breathing. Yeo-jin points toward the horizon, warning that the thing is heading for the city. Ki Yo-jin wonders if the mysterious person backing Yoon Do-young is their last hope. The Monarch-class entity lets out a roar, its dark presence crushing the surroundings. It's a grotesque sight, with the investigator's face still visible on its head. Ahn Junho stands in the middle of the devastation, looking entirely unbothered. He watches the massive beast with a calm, almost bored expression. Suddenly, a massive shockwave of energy erupts from where he's standing. He steps out of the smoke, looking like he's just taking a casual walk. The monster prepares to strike, but its fate is already sealed. Its many eyes flicker as its power starts to drain away. A system window pops up. It's time to absorb the end times remains. He taps the yes button without a moment's hesitation. Just like that, he gets a permanent plus 100 boost to every single stat. Yoon Do-young can only watch in absolute awe, unable to process what just happened. Junho's purple eyes glow as he feels the massive power surging through him. The giant creature starts to break apart as its core essence is drained. Junho stands in the center of the crater, the threat totally neutralized. He stands alone in the crater, the threat completely neutralized. He catches a brief glimpse of the ancient, dark beings he's destined to face. He turns to Do-young and casually mentions that the job is done. The corrupt investigator is left in a pathetic heap on the ground. Do-young stares at him, realizing he's just witnessed something legendary. Yoon Do-young is shocked by how fast he moves. He moves with a speed that shouldn't be possible for a 1-star rank. The scene shifts back to the association's headquarters. The corrupt investigator is now behind bars, looking like he's lost everything. He's haunted by the memory of trying to steal power that wasn't his. The image of the monster still keeps him awake at night. At the office, everyone is celebrating the miraculous victory, but Ki Yo-jin and her team know there's a lot more to the story. An association manager is sweating bullets, worrying about the fallout of the incident. Do-young stands with the officials, keeping Junho's secret identity safe. Ki Yo-jin looks contemplative, wondering about the hidden player behind the scenes. Later that night, things are finally quiet at Junho's apartment. He takes a shower, trying to process everything that went down. He realizes that these remains are the key to his survival in this world. If the world fails to stop a dungeon break, everything gets wiped out. He's seen the visions of a future where humanity is pushed to the edge of extinction. He's not about to let himself be the lone survivor in a world of monsters. He decides to keep collecting power while sharing intel with the right people. Just then, his phone starts ringing. It's a call from Junho. He answers with a grin, happy to hear from her after the long day. She tells him dinner is on her tonight, and she's not taking no for an answer. Junho smiles as she hangs up the phone, clearly in a good mood after the mission. She stands tall in her ornate hunter gear, looking every bit the high-rank prodigy she is. She descends the stairs, followed by an official, as a group of hunters watches from below. A warrior with red hair gives a cheerful thumbs up to the crowd, basking in the victory. A girl with pink hair claps excitedly while confetti fills the air around the returning party. A man in a white robe, seemingly the team leader, waves to the admiring onlookers. Junho stops and tells the group she'll treat everyone to dinner tomorrow evening instead. The team leader looks a bit taken aback by her sudden change of plans. The group of hunters stands together at the association, celebrating another successful day. The leader's expression hardens as he considers the unknown power they encountered. His teammates look on with confused expressions, sensing his sudden shift in mood. He realizes that the gap between their strength and the mysterious hero is immense. The pink-haired hunter watches as Junho walks away, sensing that something is off. Junho thinks to herself that she might one day walk a completely different path than the party. She takes Ahn Junho to a popular meat restaurant to celebrate in private instead. Junho is absolutely ecstatic, his eyes wide at the sight of the massive feast. Junho watches him eat with a mix of amusement and genuine affection. He's already elbow-deep in the food, stuffing his face without a care in the world. He looks like a happy kid, his cheeks full of roasted meat as he ignores everything else. Junho's tone shifts as she tries to lecture him on the importance of leveling up properly. He just keeps chewing, waving off her concerns with a greasy hand as he enjoys the meal. Suddenly, Junho winces, a look of sharp pain crossing her beautiful face. She clutches her shoulder, looking drained and slightly unwell as a blue aura flickers. Junho immediately notices and stops eating to ask if she's doing okay. Their conversation is interrupted by Junho's phone, buzzing on the table next to him. He answers the call, his voice turning cold as he asks who is on the other line. The caller remains a dark, ominous silhouette, hiding their true identity in the shadows. Junho looks over, her interest piqued by the mysterious phone call during their dinner. She looks shocked, sensing the sudden tension and seriousness in Junho's expression. The phone shows a caller ID restricted message, leaving them with no clues to follow. Junho pulls the phone away, looking annoyed and suspicious of the anonymous voice. His eyes glow with a faint purple light as his mind starts working on the potential threat. He stares at the screen after hanging up, trying to figure out who would be calling him now. They finish their meal and head home, walking together through the quiet, amber-lit streets. The crescent moon shines brightly in the night sky as they say their final goodbyes. Junho finally reaches his apartment building, the events of the day weighing heavily on him. He sighs as he steps through his front door, ready for some much-needed rest and sleep. But his exhaustion vanishes instantly when he sees the absolute state of his home. The apartment has been completely tossed, with all his belongings scattered over the floor. A blonde man stands there calmly, holding a blue notebook he found in the mess. Junho glares at him, his patience finally reaching its breaking point after the long day. The intruder smirks, tossing the notebook as if his group's arrival was just inevitable. The intruder leans in, his face twisted into a wide, menacing grin that promises nothing but trouble for Junho. A masked assassin lunges out of the shadows, aiming right for the throat, but Junho just steps aside like it's nothing. A quick counter-strike sends the intruder flying. He hits the ground hard, gasping for air. Junho doesn't even break a sweat, calmly fixing his jacket. The assassin can't believe he's being toyed with by a one-star mage. He grabs a hidden blade, refusing to go down without a fight. Junho just watches him with a cold, bored expression. The guy tries one last desperate lunge, but Junho is already moving. He catches the guy's leg midair and dangles him over the railing like he's taking out the trash. The apartment is a mess after the scuffle. Junho looks at the wreckage, looking more annoyed about the cleanup than the hitman. The two intruders are left battered and defeated on the floor. The lead assassin starts spilling everything, desperate for a way out. Turns out, Jo Sung-hoon sent them to dig up some dirt. Junho's eyes flash with a dark, sinister glow. He decides to test out a new toy, a forbidden skill called mind distortion. The hitmen scream as the dark magic invades their brains. The city outside stays perfectly quiet. We cut back to Sung-hoon bragging to his cronies about his status. He's been planning to set up Junho just so he can swoop in and look like a hero. Meanwhile, Junho is busy tearing through monsters with her new Blade Shadow class. Sung-hoon is convinced he's the one in control, but he has no idea the kind of storm that's heading his way. Back in the present, Junho finishes rewriting their minds. The survivors can only watch in pure terror. The puppet assassin leans in, his will completely gone. A sudden spray of blood signals the end of the line for any witnesses. A quick slash, and the cleanup is underway. The assassin stands ready with his new comrades, all perfectly loyal. Junho watches them work with ice-cold eyes. Dark energy tendrils coil around the room, binding everything together. The darkness forces its way in, leaving nothing behind. A massive pillar of purple energy erupts from the center. A silhouette pulses within the smoke, radiating terrifying power. Junho sits back like he's on a throne, looking every bit the Dark Monarch. He's completely embraced the power that others fear. An ancient skull appears on the system. The Demon King's legacy is awakening. He takes a moment to stretch after the workout. Far away, Sung-hoon is still barking orders, totally oblivious that his life just changed forever. Do-young asks if Junho knows a reliable alchemist he can trust with some sensitive work. Junho's mind drifts to the forbidden recipes he absorbed ancient knowledge from the Demon King. He thinks about the line of purge assassins he captured earlier. They're now his eyes and ears in the city. Metaphorically, he's ready to crush anyone who stands in his way as he builds his empire. Junho agrees to meet someone, but he has his own agenda for this collaboration. Just then, his phone pings with a call from Ha Yunseo. She tells him that her party's priest, Mijin, has an older brother who's a genius alchemist and might be able to help. Junho realizes this is the perfect cover to bring his high-level potions into the market. He tells her he's interested and sets up a meeting. He arrives at the lab and finds a man in a white coat waiting for him. The guy introduces himself as Yoon Ha-il and is immediately eager to see these supposed impossible recipes. Outside, Mijin is venting some energy while Yunseo tries to keep her from causing a scene. After looking over the notes, Hale admits the methods are completely foreign and incredibly complex. Junho casually mentions that if done right, this potion will increase EXP gains by a full 100%. Hale nearly has a heart attack. Current market leaders can barely hit 40. Junho just smiles. He knows he's about to change the entire world's power balance. The alchemist stares at the teen, wondering if he's a genius or something far more dangerous. He's so excited by the challenge that he starts shouting with joy. A few days pass as they refine the process under the blue sky. Junho eventually meets up with Yunseo and Mijin at his place to check in. Suddenly, he hears a strange noise coming from the other room. The girls look over, confused by the sudden tension in the air. Something small and blue comes zooming out of the kitchen at high speed. It's a byproduct of the experimental brewing a runaway magic slime. The whole room turns into a chaotic mess as they try to corner the little monster. Everyone is wide-eyed, struggling to keep up with the slime's erratic movements. Hale pops his head out, laughing like a madman because the experiment was actually a success. He shows off the finished product, which glows with a brilliant golden light. Yunseo and Mijin are completely lost, wondering why everyone is so hyped over a shiny bottle. Hale explains that they've just created something that shouldn't exist in this era. He grabs Junho by the shoulders, practically vibrating with excitement over their breakthrough. With one last magical spark, the first batch of the legendary EXP potion is officially ready. The group celebrates, though Junho keeps his typical cool and collected demeanor. The girls are stunned as they realize the sheer amount of mana radiating from the small vials. Junho is satisfied. With this, his team will outpace every other hunter in the country. He and Hale share a look of mutual understanding, but he knows the calm won't last forever. Right as he's relaxing, a new message pings on his phone. It's a notice from Ki Yeo Jin at the Hunter Association about a mandatory dungeon hunt for all third years. The class chat is already a disaster, with students panicking about the lack of leveling supplies in stores. Junho realizes the timing couldn't be better. The world is desperate for the power he now holds. While everyone else is worried about surviving, Yunseo and Mijin are just ready to go out and kick some ass. Mijin is ecstatic, celebrating the perfect batch of high-level potions they've just brewed. Junho looks at the results, his mind already calculating the massive EXP gains they'll secure in the hunt. Meanwhile, in the shadows, Jo Sung-hoon prepares his own move, convinced that he's the only one who matters. Junho briefs his party, which now includes some serious heavy hitters, on their objectives for the day. Yunseo and Mijin are full of energy and confidence, ready to put their new gear to the test. Hale gives Junho a knowing smile, proud of the breakthrough they've achieved together. A sudden hand on Junho's shoulder snaps him back to the present as the group gets ready to move out. They share one last moment of pre-hunt excitement, laughing off the nerves that would paralyze most people. Despite the pressure, Junho remains his usual stoic self, focused entirely on the goal ahead. Monday morning arrives, the city humming with the nervous energy of the upcoming student hunt. Junho arrives at the meeting point and checks in with a quick phone call. The transport bus pulls into view, a sign that the training phase is officially over. On the ride over, most students are trying to play it cool, though some are clearly more ready than others. Junho steps off the bus into a desolate industrial zone, suitcase in hand and eyes on the prize. In front of them, a massive, swirling purple dungeon rift dominates the landscape. A large crowd of students gathers at the base of the rift, overwhelmed by the scale of the association's operation. Ki Yo-jin informs the restless crowd that due to the sheer volume of participants, there will be a significant wait. The announcement causes a wave of groans and frustration among the lower-ranked students. Junho's team stands apart from the rest, a formidable-looking group that draws plenty of curious stares. A guard's voice booms over the crowd, signaling that the next authorized party can proceed to the entrance. The students watch intently as another group vanishes into the glowing maw of the rift. Ki Yo-jin maintains a stern watch, ensuring that no one tries to bypass the safety protocols. Tensions rise in the queue as several arrogant students try to intimidate those ahead of them. The targets of their bullying can only stammer out apologies, too intimidated to fight back. The atmosphere suddenly chills as a much more powerful group makes its way toward the front of the line. Jo Sung-hoon arrives at the scene, his high-tier armor and elite party making a very deliberate statement. Without a word, the guards step aside, allowing Sung-hoon's team to enter the portal before anyone else. The students who were causing trouble just moments ago are now frozen in silence by Sung-hoon's presence. Sung-hoon's party includes a lethal, silver-haired warrior who looks completely unimpressed by the surroundings. Beside her walks a mountain of a man, carrying a slab of metal that functions more as a guillotine than a sword. Sung-hoon glances back with a sinister smirk, his eyes glowing red with the promise of violence to come.